All right, yeehaw, and we're set. I can't believe I'm back, guys. Holy shamoly! Welcome back, guys. My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today, we're talking all about channeling and whether Bashar was right. Okay, Bashar is an entity so called channeled by Daryl Anka. So, let me first of all just start to understand that the thing that I don't like about a lot of these channelers are they don't really dive into the intricacies of shadow work. Okay. That's one pet peeve I have. However, they do say that follow your bliss, follow your excitement, your highest excitement, and all of these different things, which can be very, very helpful for people. You know, I don't necessarily look at channeling and I'm like, is it real? Is it fake? Is it like, oh my gosh, like, overwhelm myself? I just do what's most effective because I know that effectiveness is the best measure of truth. I have been in contact with the Roman god Janus quite recently, and I'm going to try and channel him today. But before that, I posted a message on a Bashar forum, you could say, on Facebook, okay? And I asked people about, what do you guys think? Is channeling related to flow state? Is that something that we can equate with each other? Because we could also say that a musician on stage is channeling someone, right? Like you see an incredible performance by like Jimi Hendrix or like, I don't know, Bruce Springsteen, right? And you just get into this ecstatic flow state because they're so in it, they're so enraptured, they're immersed into that environment so much, they're so fully involved in what they're doing that they're channeling something they get out of their own way. They become a conduit for God or source, right? So there's another aspect of it where I was asking the hey, flow state is the alpha theta bridge, right? And then there's these gamma jumps to happen. Those are like the aha moments or the breakthrough epiphany feeling moments, right? Where you're like, whoa, I get it. It makes sense. Wait a second. Now, suddenly it's all clicking, right? That feeling, that's the gamma jumps. And that's kind of interesting because in the Bashar documentary, I once heard them say once he was doing the scientific portion of it, where he's measuring his brain waves, is that Daryl Anka has these strong gamma waves. Now, when I heard this, I was very fascinated by the two juxtapositions, right, of flow state and channeling. Is it similar to each other? Is it different to each other? What really is going on? We can never really know what's going on because it's still not that scientifically tested to this point, right? In that documentary, who knows, that Bashar's team might have paid for it and gotten some statistics from it. Like, we have to look further and deeper into this. We need a lot more parapsychologists or esoteric scientists to actually take this approach because it is going to be helping certain people, right? But we don't know where it's leading to or what this is because the first channeled text I think was like set a really long time ago, and then there's also channeled writings becoming more popularized nowadays with things like the Law of One by Ra. Okay, it's interesting because there's a Bollywood movie called Raw One, which is whoa, like bro, were you looking at the same text? You know what I mean? So there is that. So let me just say what I said, okay, and let me show you the answers that I got from the forum. So let me first pull up the forum on my question that I wrote, and then I will show you the replies. It's very interesting, very interesting. The comment section of a Bashar forum is very, very interesting. I'm going to classify the names for confidentiality purposes. However, you can just find this if you type in Bashar, right? Facebook group. Anyway, I said, do you think that the flow state is also the channeling state? I definitely think it's part of it, since flow is the alpha theta bridge with little gamma jumps. Some people call it gamma spikes too, right? Wasn't there like a Marvel character called Spike where he had like spikes coming out of his arms and stuff? Man, These guys can get really, really, creative with the characters. Like, who would even think of like naming a villain like something weird like Gold Toes? You know what I mean? Like, villains have really weird names. I just noticed that they have very strange names, right? Kingpin. What's that guy's name? Oh man, I'm totally dropping his name. He's like in the Batman franchise. You guys know what I'm talking about. I am thinking of Kingpin, and then there's this other guy. Oh man, you see, this is what happens. It's like on the tip of your tongue, but you can't say it. It's like with an L. I know that. Anyway, um, it'll pop into my mind again. It does that, right? So this is what happens with the flow state, right? When you're adding too much pressure trying to solve the equation, you're never going to get into flow. So you have to take pressure off in those moments. So now I'm going to drop this entirely and see if this comes up later on in the video, right? Whether I remember or not. So, do you think the flow state is also a channeling state? I definitely think it's part of the flow. Part of it, since flow is the alpha theta bridge with the gamma jumps, they say channelers have access to a high gamma frequency. Okay. Four people like this comment, one heart, I believe, out of the, oh, three hearts. Oh, excellent. So this guy says, I think you can get into flow state while channeling. The only difference is by trying to use the word channeling would be that it implies something psychic is going on. Okay? Do you guys see what's happening here? Something psychic is going on. There might not anything extrasensory about uninhibited energetic output. Man, this guy speaks like a robotic like function, like an algorithm, right? That's so cool, bro. If you talk like that, you're gonna get street cred out here in the Bashar community. And then this was the reply. I would argue, this is a woman clearly, that's why I'm changing the voice. I would argue that there's nothing extra sensory about anything anyway. Okay? It's all different levels of information. I remember Bashar once saying something like, nothing meta, nothing extra, nothing super. It's all just natural human ability. Okay? Hey, I actually agree with her. You know what I mean? Like that's on point, right? Because she's like, okay, there's no such thing as meta or extra or beyond or trans or above or it's like it's all one. That's what she's trying to say, basically. She's basically trying to say, but we're all one though. So flow state is also channeling state, but it's also Florida state. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of a mentality. But anyway, I love the way that she's thinking. Okay, there's no extra spidey senses like this thing related to it. It's just our natural human ability. Okay, some people make this argument that flow state is our natural ability, right? That we can actually tap into it when we just allow it instead of trying to force it or induce it or trying to run an extra mile. We just have to get out of our own ways, right? So, but that's a very vague term to say that too. It's like, get out of your own way, man. Get out of your own way. It's like you can't really out ego the ego or ego death to the point where you can form the ego. You know what I mean? It's like it gets really complicated after that. So anyway, I could say that psychic stuff is going on all the time. It's just a matter of, are you aware of it? Okay? Are you aware of the psychic? If you are aware of the psychic link in this world, you will have extrasensory perception. Supernatural, super normal, right? Super consciousness. Okay. Now this is what this guy comes back with, right? The algorithm guy, the robot sent from the future to to take charge of the Bashar community, right? Clearly some kind of a like an Anunnaki in disguise, right? He's here and he quotes this little passage, right? I'm going to show you because it's like very very precise. It's like from like a book. It almost looks like old Greek writing, but it's English. Anyway, he says, I venture to coin the word supernormal to be applied to phenomena which are beyond what usually happens, beyond, that is, in the sense of suggesting unknown physical laws. It is thus formed on the analogy of abnormal, When we speak of an abnormal phenomenon, we do not mean one which contravenes natural laws. Okay, contravenes, damn. But that which exhibits them in an unusual and inexplicable form. Similarly, by a supernatural phenomenon, I mean, not one which overrides natural laws. For I believe no such phenomenon to exists, but one which exhibits the action of laws higher is a physical aspect, psychical aspect. They are discerned in action in everyday life by higher, either in a physical or a physiological sense, I mean, apparently belonging to a more advanced stage of evolution. Okay, I don't know what this guy's talking about, right? First of all, banana, but let's first of all focus on what he said, and then we can break it down, right? So he's saying Frederick Myers. Now he's actually quoting the person that he took this section from, right? And he's saying Frederick Myers was a person who coined the term supernormal. Okay, I don't know where this came from, just out of left field, right? Possibly because the lady was saying there's nothing meta, nothing extra, nothing super, right? So he brings in Frederick Myers to solve the equation. He goes, Frederick Myers was the person who coined the term supernormal, which technically means any derivation thereafter was based off this term. He describes anything super as being of higher psychical degree. But was it psychical though, or was it physical? Because I just read physical. Was it actually psychical? And I was trying to say psychical. That's a term. Okay, so every time I said physical, I actually meant psychical. Psychical? Okay. Well, I'm getting a lesson in history or something right now. Okay. Super means as a being of a higher psychical degree, not meaning something overriding natural laws. So that also means Bashar is not knowledgeable in history. Ooh, shots fired, my friend. Shots fired. Bashar is not knowledgeable in history. I stand corrected. He's mentioned a lot of the historical times of the Terrans. Okay? Okay, so he says Frederick Myers also coining the term telepathy. Telepathy, my bad. Telepathy. I get sometimes, I get these jolts of like an Indian accent that comes in over my American accent. And I don't even know what that is, like, honestly. And my accent has changed so much over time. Like I have a very crisp caramel type of voice, right? And that's not even like a humble brag. Like I'm just saying it what it is. Like it has like a very has a very soothing quality to it, let's say. Like my voice could be used in meditations and so forth, right? And what was the point of me saying that? I don't know. Maybe that was just an ego boost or something. Like I just needed an ego boost. Okay, anyway, it'll come back to me. Still can't think of that guy's name from Batman, that villain. Should I just cheat and like look it up? No, I'm not going to. Okay, Frederick Myers also coining the term telepathy, my bad, which also implies the use of all impressions such as emotional, also stating telepathy. I've heard this term before, telepathy. It's like telepathic empathy, but he's saying that telepathy is redundant, but it's okay in a folky kind of way. Okay. It's all right in a folky kind of way, but it's kind of redundant because you also have empathetic senses when you're telepathic, is what he's trying to say, right? And he said, and psychic is usually a term used for sensing something remote from the body. Okay? Something away from the body is psychic. He says, I get it could be said when you're in a flow state, you're channeling more of your true self, but that doesn't necessarily need a designation of psychic. Okay? Although it might create a higher order of behavior, which may actually be something that helps psychic perception. Wow, man. How do you even go there with your mind? Like you're like, let's look at the flora and the fauna of Venus. Like that's what this sounds like to me. It's incredible. Like this guy's mind is going to warp speed to answer this question, really. And he feels like his Essex, oh, from Essex, Mike. No, his ethics are being challenged in a sense. That's the vibe I'm getting. So I hope you guys have like popcorn or something as you're listening to this, right? So then the woman says, I mean, aren't we just talking semantics here? Right? If you know that everything is really one thing, everything is connected, then it's just a matter of definitions. My personal experience is that the more I float, the more psychic I am. You tell him, sister. Okay? The more flow, the more I flow, the more psychic I am. That should be on a t-shirt. Guys, give me a thumbs up if this should be on a t-shirt right now, right? Like imagine on a really crystal clear luxury tee. The more I flow, the more psychic I am. If somebody wants to take that brand name and put it under Flow Zone Academy and like we can split the profits, go and do that. Okay? The more I flow, the more psychic I am. I experience these things as intimately connected, but that's just my subjective experience. I will give the person credit if they reach out and they find this video. Um, and maybe we can do the profit switching thing, okay? Now the guy comes back. Uh-oh. Here he goes with his analogy. This is an incredible analogy, guys. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. It's a phenomenal analogy he uses. But the woman's response is so poignant that I just have to read this out, okay? He says, you don't have to be in flow state to channel. The Institute of Noetic Science, whether I like it or not. He's like, whether I like it or not, is pushing the idea of channeling as an umbrella term, meaning any psychic experience is channeling, not just vocal channeling, which I would designate from the term channeling to. So getting a single image, an urge, a sense, doesn't have to be the same state as you would get by making 50 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You guys are getting this, right? He's using a very practical example so that we can understand it. By the time you get near the end of those 50 sandwiches, you'll probably have gotten into the repetition well enough that you're grabbing a good amount of peanut butter, a good amount of jelly, spreading it evenly. Okay, what are we referring to here? Is this an innuendo? Brethren, is this an innuendo there? Good amount of peanut butter, good amount of jelly, spreading it evenly. Okay, now who do I sound like? And then the next one is going to make sense. A good amount of peanut butter, good amount of jelly. Spreading it evenly, wrapping them up and moving on to the next. Okay, who do I sound like? Kind of, who do I sound like? Versus not being in flow state and being sloppy, doing too much jelly, ripping the bread when spreading, etc. Right? We don't want that. We don't want the peanut butter and jelly and the bread and all of it to get all together and stuff and start to get sticky and stuff. Right? Right, Stewie? Oh, Brian, I don't know. Now do you get it? Now do you get it? Okay. This next person, okay, posts the peanut butter jelly time Giphy, and says, all I could think of that reading that comment was this. Okay, that's the woman who comments back, right? And the guy says, I couldn't think of something anyone could relate to. The woman says something phenomenal again. She says, it's okay. My brain just does weird things like that. Laugh. I don't know if you're familiar with Family Guy, but the peanut butter jelly time dance is a big deal. Laughing emoji. Okay? She's like in the Family Guy fan club, like warning this guy, Peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time. Wait, he's not doing it right. He said peanut butter twice. Okay, like, who's the Family Guy police up in here? My brain just does this weird thing. I don't know. I watch too many cartoons and suddenly they pop up in my head. That sounds like my childhood. All right, so this other woman says, yes, Bashar has said we are all channeling when we do what we love. The flow state when being creative. Slow claps for this woman. Okay? We're channeling when we do something we love. Now, this makes sense because love is the ultimate flow state, right? And when we're doing something that we love, we're automatically being tapped into that frequency of flow. Now, this woman is making very much sense. And she also mentioned creativity was just a flow state trigger by itself, right? So more flow creates more creativity creates more flow. You guys know this kind of stuff, right? I've been over it many times on this channel. But what I'm saying is, this woman has hit the nail on the head. Bashar does say that. He says, follow your highest excitement. Isn't that what flow state is? To be your true self, to be your best self, whatever. This other guy was also making some segues towards that, right? On how flow state can be this bridge towards our higher self, greater self, true self, authentic self, whatever we want to call it, right? And put a label on it. But flow state cannot be labeled. It is not this thing. It is this place. This is this frequency that we go to, right? It is this state of consciousness. So we have to feel it. We have to embody it. We can't logically try to think about it and be like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to get into flow if I shift this nozzle 4 times and then I'll try to do it another way and another time. You're not in flow in that position. Maybe you're in recovery phase, consolidating what had happened earlier to your flow, right? Or you're maybe in struggle phase, still trying to figure it out before you're about to kick it off. But you're not in the flow phase yet. Okay? You have to let go in order to be in the flow phase. Remember this. You have to let go. And this is what channeling is. Channelers let go. Okay? So as I'm going to be getting into this, as I'm going to be channeling Janus for you guys, I'm going to be letting go. This is the practice of channeling. This is the practice of also getting into an alpha state of mind. Okay? Now I here I'm going to get into it using the Silva method. Okay, if you haven't heard of the Silva method, hold on. This is the book. Okay, now this method helps you get into an alpha wave frequency. Okay, so I'm going to be channeling, and I'm going to be using a similar method to channel. So this is kind of a tweak of the method that I use to channel. This one, but also I use some of my own freestyle rapping abilities and combining it with that. And well, I can't really explain it too rationally to you guys, right? I just want you guys to experience it. So here we go. Channeling Janus. Tapping in. What are you waiting for? It seems silly to wait around. The time is yours, and it always has been. The future is bright as you stand by yourself for yourself. Understand where you go. You float around in your mind, and everything comes from there. So you're floating around an origin point. Recognize this. As you slowly work on yourself and your beingness, stop attaching your beingness as if it's some kind of a monumental skill that you have. Your beingness just is. Earn it. Sweat for it, bleed for it, work for it, but from ease. As you cross the threshold and enter the doorway, you want to use the key that seems the most miraculous. Use that key. and open the door and entertain the thought of greatness. As you magnetize certain elements of your own personality out into the external world, you are fearlessly convoluted, my friend, which is why you must trust in the freedom to provide resources. Take this time and don't let a resolution be a New Year's resolution. Allow a revolution to finally emerge. Because you can try to kick your legs back in your throne or your empire, which you are building for yourself, but you are lost if you think that you are going at it alone, because you need your tribe behind you to add wings to the mission, to float across the sky and command your consciousness, the way you command a fleet of ships to follow behind you as you seize the day carpe diem and unfold the journey that is within your heart and mind and soul. Spirit, spira, breath. Let your breath go as you melt. Right now, I'm using the channel of Sumed to speak. And I don't have a bibliography, but what I do have is pure, indomitable willpower that will set you free from the shackles of society. Because if you believe that you've come this far to be bequeathed, to be underestimated for your talents, for your pure, ecstatic gifts here in this dimension, you are thoroughly mistaken, my friend. Take a good look at what you want to celebrate right now, because your celebration frequency will take you forward. It will let things emerge. It will do what is weird. The true origin of the word weird, if you look it up, it means the power of your own destiny. Realize that being weird lets you wield the power of your own destiny. But a lot of people, they're inauthentic or they're way too authentic. The way too authentic people are just weird, plain and simple. Like the witches from Macbeth. But when you really look at the meaning of the word weird, you start to notice you have power. There are these gates opening up where your shadows are going versus your other shadows. And you concisely confine anything that is not visionary. The simple will get trampled on this fast journey. But if you coincide with nature's laws, and if you have a heart of gold and Midas touch, you can pull through anything that is sacred, that is yours, that you must claim to be yours. Because the rush of adrenaline and cortisol that you feel through your bones, through your boiling blood, as you wake up, envious of those who have made it. It is a waste of your pristine energy, worrying about what others think. Worry about what you do. Be weird, my friend. Meaning, wield the power of your own destiny. And allow yourself to split into two different versions of you that coagulate and dissolve. Being both is okay. It's not this or that, it's this and that, as the birds sing outside my window. Do you hear that, Sumed? Fascinating little creatures, birds, how they could flap their little wings and go up into the sky. We can do the same if we have a quality of mind that can fly and incorporate a bird's eye view or a hawk's eye that leans in, laser sharp vision, containing the protocol that belongs to the earth and the soil. And the ancestors sing as the bird calls. So don't be inauthentic, don't be too authentic. Be authentic and relevant. Be authentic and unique. Be unique, but genuinely be intrigued as you are unique. As you are unique, you must be useful because your values take you forward, not your comfort levels only. If someone was way too comfortable for you, but they have no such value, you cannot match the two. You cannot pair and go hand in hand. Like you're going through a ballroom dancing, but you can't really dance. You're just walking around, embracing the movement archetype of a dancer instead of being the dance, embodying the perfect vision and the analysis that you have to bring awareness to your care and your Gentile soul that incorporates every single millisecond of epiphany into one crystallized neurotransmitter moment called the flow state. And when you peak at your peak experience, you recognize the true value of being alive, being human, your heart beating faster, your sweat dripping down your body, the little itches you have in the corners of your skin. You fully feel alive and vivid and ready to take on your day because nothing can stand in your path unless you let it, unless you cave in, unless you give in. There's a big difference between surrender and giving up, my friend. Giving up, you just drop the rope. Surrender, you drop the rope knowing that you are going to win. Wow. You just got to shake that off. Huh. Sheesh. Okay. So, it's tough to integrate after something like that. So, I'm going to need some time. But yeah, guys, check out the Silva method. Definitely. I personally love that method when it comes down to channeling. I sometimes use frequencies to tap in. I didn't do it this time, but it's cool. We got a bird coming in as well. I didn't even know how Janus was going to respond to the bird, but that's kind of cool. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and tapping in. I'll make today's live stream short. Need to integrate after I, carry a energy like that. I need some time to revitalize my energy, if that makes sense, okay? Because these Roman gods or these gods in general, man, they use a lot of your energy. Let's just say that. Yeah, I love the fact that he brought up New Year's as well, because New Year's is coming around and he's the god of January. Yeah, right, Janus, January. So powerful stuff. He's the god of beginnings and ends. So I like the fact that he was. Oh well, I don't even know what he said. I kind of lose my sense of consciousness, so I'll have to replay this and really listen to what he had to say. And I'm always surprised too when I listen back. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I'm going to implement that, right? Or something like this. Usually I also like to write my channeled writings. Like I'll channel and write something down rather than record it out loud. But I also love to record it out loud. And as you saw right now, I recorded it on camera, so you guys can actually see the process and what is happening there, right? So once you train yourself in this, you get a lot better and you get a lot faster, right? So that's what I know is channeling. Again, I don't know if I was channeling anything or not, but this is the experience that I have. Tapping into energies like this and just being open, being a conduit, and having a very clear intention about the energy that you're tapping into. Okay. So Janus has picked me. I have picked Janus. Um, wow. Who even answers a question like that, right? When someone says, "Hey, send me your Cash App tag for a giveaway," like who even responds to these things, thinking that it's legit or whatever, you know? This guy's name is Sweet Baby Jesus, like thinking that I'm going to just, you know, okay. Well. Here we go again. Everybody wants my cash, man. Everybody wants my brilliance and cash, mostly cash. Anyway, we've been on here for a while, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate that. I'm now exerting my energy, as you can tell, near the end here because I really need to regain that strength back. Um, but I will. I will. And let's see here. I did have a client today. Let me see if they're still showing up or not. In that case, I can kind of plan the rest of my day around that. I had an incredible session yesterday, too. Guys, if you want to book a flow state consultation with me, just shoot me a message on Instagram, okay? It's the easiest way to do it. Don't worry, I won't ignore you unless you have like a message like, hey, send me a cash app for my giveaway. Okay. Awesome, guys. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today. You already know Upward Spiral gang, 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 yang, gang. You already know, man. Yeah.